I see Jenny Cornfield. Yeah. It's you, Eileen.
Hi, Ed.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Very good. Trudy's watching TV. I'll bring her in here for shortly.
Okay.
How's your puppy?
Oh, she's good sometimes. Not too often. Hey, Mare.
Hey, Eileen.
Mm-hmm. Are you showing me your nails?
What?
Are you showing me your nails?
Oh, didn't you see him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's time.
Jenny. Hello, Jen.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Hello, Marilyn. Hi, Ed, wherever you are.
Page 13. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 5 for lighting the candles of Shabbat. Page 5. Amen. Page 21, a psalm commemorating creation. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya l'to yishenu, nekadma fanav betodah, bizmirot nariya lo, nekadma fanav betodah, bizmirot nariya lo. Kiel gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher be'ado mecharei aretz, v'toafot harim lo, asher be'ado mecharei aretz, v'toafot harim lo. For the Creator is a generous divinity, a sovereign greater than all image gods, in whose hand the planetary depths reside. the greatest heights there in God's palm. To whom belongs the sea as it was made, the dry land shaped by divine hand? Come, worship, bend the knee, let's bow to the eminent who made us all. Ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarei tov, atzon yado hayom v'kolo tishma'u. Al taksho levavchem k'meriva, kayom asa b'midbar, asher nesuni avotechem, b'chanuni gam rahu fa'ali. 40 shana kod bador, v'omaram to'e levavhem, v'hem lo yadu drachai, asher nishbate be'apihi, im yavohun el menuchati. Page 41. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shahamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shem multiferet v'lithilah. Lecha dodi lekrat kalam, Penei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi lekrat kalam, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mikor habracha, meherosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uhuri ori, shir daberim, kevod Adonai alayich niglam. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Bohui v'shalom ahateret v'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, tohochem unei am segulam. Bohi chala, bohi chala. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Come in peace, O divine crown, with joy rejoicing and with mirth, amid the faithful loved by God. Come in, O bride, come in, O bride. Page 48 and 49. A psalm, a song for the day of Shabbat. A good thing to give thanks to the Eternal, to sing out to your name supreme, to tell of your kindness in the morning and your faithfulness at night, on 10-stringed lyre and on flute, with melodies conceived on harp. For you, Almighty One, elate me with your deeds. I'll sing about the actions of your hands. Mizmor shir liyom ha-Shabbat, tov lahodod lahadonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chastecha, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפעלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Page 50, the last four stanzas together. The righteous flourish like the palm trees, like cedars of Lebanon they grow, implanted in the house of the all-knowing one. Amid the courtyards of our God they bear fruit. In their old age they'll put forth seed, fleshy and fresh they'll ever be, to tell the uprightness of the one alone, my rock in whom no fault resides. Tzadika tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yizgeh, shetulim bevet Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun v'seva deshenim v'ra'ananim yehu lehagid ki ashar Adonai Tzuri velo avlatabo. Page 55, we rise for the Chatzi Kaddish as we prepare for the call to prayer. It gadal ve'it gadash shemei rabah, v'yamad yivrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, Mechayechonu v'yomechon u'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'emaru amen Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach li'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh Vitadar, vitale, vitalahal, shemedu kudusha brechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, toshbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma, v'emaru amen. Barechu et Adonai hamevarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam vahed. Page 58. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim. Together, blessed are you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of all worlds, by whose word the evenings fall. In wisdom you open heaven's gates. With divine discernment you make seasons change, causing the times to come and go, and ordering the stars on their appointed paths through heaven's dome, all according to your will. Creator of the day and night, who rolls back light before the dark and dark before the light, who makes day pass away and brings on night, dividing between day and night. The leader of the throngs of heaven is your name. living and enduring God, rule over us now and always. Blessed are you, Almighty One, who makes the evenings fall. Umavir yom umehevi laila, umavdihel ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavahot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chalenu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'arim v'rahavim. Page 63, about the giving of Torah as an act of love. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechokecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ויארך ימינו ויארך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה יומם ולילה ואהבתך לא תסור ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ולשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Is there someone on Zoom who would wish to read on page 68 and 70?
But if your heart should turn away and you not heed and go astray, and you submit to other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall be destroyed completely. You shall not live out a great expanse of days upon the land that you now cross the Jordan to possess. I will call as witnesses concerning you both heaven and earth, both life and death, that I have placed in front of you, a blessing and a curse. Choose life that you may live, you and your seed. So place these words upon your heart into your life breath. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and let them rest before your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit at home and when you walk upon the road, when you lie down and when you rise. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, so that your days and your children's days be many on the land. The faithful one promised to give your ancestors as long as heaven rests above the earth.
And on page, let's read together also page 68. If you truly listen to my bidding as I bid you now, loving the fount of life your God, and serving God with all your heart, with every breath, then I will give you rain upon your land upon its appointed time, the early rain and the later rain, so you may gather in your corn, your wine, and oil. And I will give you grass upon your field to feed your animals. That's right. You go off and worship other gods and submit to them, so that the anger of the Lord and seal up the heavens. Yeah. וחרף אדוני בכם ויצר את השמיים ולא יהיה מטר והאדמה לא תיתן את יבולה ועבדתם מהרה מעל הארץ הטובה אשר אדוני נותן לכם. So place these words upon your heart into your life breath. Page 72, the boundless one told Moses, Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor. Speak to the Israelites, tell them to make themselves tzitzit upon the corners of their clothes throughout their generations. Have them place upon the corner tzitzit, a twine of royal blue. This is your tzitzit. Look at it and remember all the mitzvot of the Eternal One, and do them so you won't go off after the lusts of your heart, or after what catches your eye, so that you remember to do all my mitzvot and be holy for your God. I am the faithful one, your God, who brought you from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, to be for you a God. I am the infinite, your God. Adonai Elohechem, Amen. Page 76. Larry, if you want to come up to. Okay. Responsibly.
Want to go first?
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah.
Okay. We acknowledge as true and trustworthy, and there is but one universal God, and that to God's service Israel stands eternally committed.
We recognize in God the power that has enabled us to triumph over defeat, persecution, and oppression.
It was God who redeemed us from Egyptian bondage and delivered us from the despotism of the pharaohs.
For God wills that we be free to use our powers in holy service and be not bound to the arbitrary rule of any mortal.
Whenever human rulers usurp divine authority and exploit the people, those tyrants' hearts are hardened, their own arrogance writes their doom.
Therefore we will never be discouraged nor dismayed when unrighteous powers rise up to destroy us.
Though enemies' hosts pursue us, we shall remember how our ancestors were saved at the Sea of Reeds.
We therefore repeat the words of triumph with which they gave thanks for their deliverance. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Nora tehilot osef eleh. Mahachotecha ra'u vanecha, chokei hayam lifnei Moshe. Ze li'anu ve'amru, ze li'anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifat Adonai Yaakov, v'galo mi'ad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai kal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom.
Lie down, dear one, our God, in peace.
V'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim.
And let us rise again, our sovereign to life.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Over us the shelter of your peace.
V'taknenu b'etzet tova milfanecha.
Decree for us a worthy daily life.
V'hoshienu leman shemecha.
And return us for the sake of your great name.
Uvtzel kenafecha tastirenu.
And in enfold us in the wings of your protection.
כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה.
For you are our redeeming guardian.
כי אל מלך חנון ורחם אתה.
Truly a sovereign, gracious, and compassionate God are you.
שמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם.
Guard our going forth each day for life and peace, now and always.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך.
Spread over us your shelter of peace.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
Blessed are you, compassionate one, who spreads your canopy of peace over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish. We rise in preparation for the silent Amida. The Chatzi Kaddish is page 87, and the silent Amida will follow pages 90 through 107. 90 through 107. Chatzi Kaddish, page 87. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמרים ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיא יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה ברכו לעילא. מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דהמירן בעלמא, ואמרו amen. Pages 90 through 107. Page 106. Marilyn, would you read this for us?
Yeah.
On behalf of us.
On page 106. Dear God,
106.
Dear God, protect my tongue from evil and my lips from telling lies. May I turn away from evil and do what is good in your sight. Let me be counted among those who seek peace. May my words of prayer and my heart's meditation be seen favorably. Beloved one, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us and for all Israel and for all who dwell on earth, and say Amen.
Amen. On page 108, we continue with this mini repetition. Vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vayachal Elohim b'yom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishpot b'yom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vaykadesh oto ki vo shavat mikol melachto Asher bara Elohim lasot. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, Elyon, Konei Shamayim v'haaretz. Magen Avot bidvaro, Mechaye kol chai v'ma'amaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kamohu, Hameniach le'amo, B'yom Shabbat kahacho, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Lefanav navod birav v'fachad, V'nodeh lishmo bechol yom tamid, Mi'ein habrachot. El hahodaot Adon hashalom, Mekadesh hashabat, Umvarech shevihi, Umeniach b'kedusha, Le'amedu shnei oneg, Zecher Lema'aseh v'reshit. Eloheinu, Eloi Avoteinu, v'Imotzeinu retzeh, v'imnuchateinu, Kachenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkenu b'toratecha, Sabeinu metuvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu, le'avdecha be'emet, v'hanfileinu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'yahava uvratzon, Shabbat kodshecha, V'anochu v'chol Yisrael, Mekadsheh Shemecha Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Please be seated. Our God, our ancients God, take pleasure in our rest. Make us holy through your mitzvot. Make us a part of Torah. Let us enjoy the good things of your world and rejoice in all your saving acts. Refine our hearts to serve you honestly. Help us to perpetuate with love and joy your holy Shabbat. Let all Israel and all who treat your name as holy rest upon this day. Blessed are you, beloved one, source of the holiness of Shabbat. And on page 417, 417, we cite a blessing for this congregation. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah ho yevarechet kol hakahal kodesh hazeh im kol kilot hakodesh. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire holy community along with other holy communities, them and their sons and daughters and all that belongs to them, all those who set apart houses of assembly for prayer, and those who come into their midst to pray, and those who study Torah for the sake of teaching it to young and old, and those who provide light for the lamps, and wine for Kiddush and Havdalah, and food for guests, and donations for the poor, and all those who faithfully are occupied with the needs of the community and with the building up of the land of Israel. May the Blessed Holy One provide them their reward, and turn away from them every sickness, and heal their bodies, and pardon them their failures. May God send blessing and success in all their efforts, along with all Israel their kin. And let us say, Amen. Vayishlach bracha v'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadehem im kol Yisrael achehem v'nomar Amen. And we turn to page 420. We say a prayer for Israel at this time, given that it is a time of war. Zor Yisrael v'go aleinu barech na et medinat Yisrael reshit tzmichat golatenu. Hagen aleha baruch chastecha ufros aleha sukat shlomecha. Rock and champion of Israel, please bless the state of Israel, first fruit of the flourishing of our redemption. Guard it in the abundance of your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Send forth your light and truth to those who lead and judge it, and to those who hold elective office. Establish in them through your presence wise counsel, that they might walk in the way of justice, freedom, and integrity. Strengthen the hands of those who guard our holy land. Let them inherit salvation and life, and give peace to the land and perpetual joy to its inhabitants. Appoint for a blessing all our kindred of the house of Israel, in all the lands of their dispersion. Plant in their hearts a love of Zion, and for all our people everywhere, may God be with them, and may they have the opportunity to go up to the land. Cause your Spirit's influence to emanate upon all dwellers of our holy land. Remove from them their midst hatred and enmity, jealousy and wickedness. Plant in their hearts love and kinship, peace and friendship, and soon fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Let them learn no longer ways of war. And let us say, Amen. On page 686, we say as well a blessing. We call to mind those in our hearts who are in need of support or dealing with illness. Thinking in particular of Gail Greenberg, Dawn Trimble, Millie Levine, Daniel Metallo, Bill Gladstone, Jeffrey Neil Saxberg, Sonny Press, Jill Hirsch, all those dealing with COVID, and all those impacted, affected or directly involved in what is going on in Israel and Gaza, and in so many other places. To others, may the one who blesses all life bless and heal these people who struggle against illness or are in need of great support. May those afflicted with disease be blessed with faith, courage, loving, and caring. May they know much support and sustenance from their friends, their loving companions, and their communities. May they be granted a full and complete healing of body and soul. May those who seek ways of healing through increased medical knowledge and those who care for the sick daily be blessed with courage, stamina, and communal support. May all the sick and the well together be granted courage and hope. And let us say, Amen. Misha berach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha berach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Page 115. Yitgadal v'yitgadal shemei rabah v'alma divrach teviam lichmalchote b'chaychoni v'mechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman karivim maru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam lo me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitala shmei dekudesha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran b'yama v'yimaru amen. Titkabal tzlot tonavot ton dechol beit Yisrael kadama v'hundi v'shemaya v'yimaru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kachanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with mitzvot and commands us to engage in words of Torah. In this week's this week's parsha is Chaye Sarah, which literally means the life of Sarah, and it begins, and the life of Sarah was 127 years, and these were the years of the life of Sarah, and Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. And it continues to go on to say how Abraham mourned for Sarah and arranged for her burial, and then arranged for to deal with Isaac's situation, to be married off. And it's interesting that, so Sarah dies at the beginning of this parsha, but before mentioning her death, it mentions her life. The life of Sarah was 127 years. These were the years of Sarah's life, and she died. And the way it is voiced there brings up the issue of memory and how we live on through the ages, if in nothing else, certainly through memory, or hopefully through memory. The importance of memory in Jewish tradition. And I've been thinking about memory. This week, I was asked to participate in something that had a lot to do with memory. I was asked to participate in a gathering of Torah scrolls, a gathering of Holocaust scrolls, Torah scrolls which survived the Holocaust. And in particular, I was given this opportunity, really, through Bethel, who they have a Holocaust scroll. And in fact, I have a picture of it because I couldn't bring the scroll. It's in a case. So I had to find out where it was from, too. It was from Brno. This is the Holocaust scroll that is at Bethel. I've been aware of this, call it a project, I suppose, these Holocaust scrolls that have been placed in synagogues around the world. In the synagogue where I grew up in Greenbelt, Maryland, Mishkan Torah, has had one for something like 50 years. And it may have been what I read from at my bar mitzvah, I'm not certain. But I want to tell you about this gathering of scrolls and about the scrolls themselves. There were 350 people gathered at Rodef Shalom in Philadelphia. 350 people from mostly from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and 50 Torah scrolls. 50 Torah scrolls, all from originally what is now the Czech Republic, where they seem to be saying Czechia. The Czech Republic, 50 Torah scrolls telling a story of memory and resilience. I had no idea that there were that many of these scrolls in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware area. The scrolls themselves date from anywhere from the 12th century to the 20th century. And the story of them is that as the Nazis started decimating and murdering Jewish communities throughout Bohemia and Moravia, which are the two major components of what is the Czech Republic, they also began collecting Jewish items for what might perhaps, I think their idea was to have an eventual museum. They systematically collected the scrolls, systematically, of course. They systematically collected the scrolls. They would bring them from the smaller villages to the larger villages and had collection points. And they had or allowed Jewish curators at the Jewish Museum in Prague to catalog and number these scrolls to make a record of where each scroll had been collected from. And then Prague escaped heavy bombing, so these Jewish objects and the Torah scrolls survived the war. But after the war, the communists took over, and I believe it was the curator of the museum who was able to get the government to store the scrolls in a warehouse outside of Prague. Not in the best of circumstances, but the scrolls were retained. Early in the 1960s, the Czechoslovakian government approached a British art dealer who was visiting Prague. The Czech government wanted to sell these scrolls for hard cash. They were a communist country behind the Iron Curtain. They wanted cash. What did they need these scrolls for? The art dealer approached an attorney in London who eventually purchased them and brought them to London. And in 1964, 2 trucks pulled up to the Westminster Synagogue in London with a strange delivery. 1,564 Torah scrolls in various states of disrepair. I'm not certain the members of the synagogue knew they were coming. You can imagine what it would be like to receive something like that. I'm told they were all over the synagogue. Sometime later, a traveling sofer, a scribe, contacted the synagogue asking if there were any Torah scrolls that needed some work. You know how a scribe will call? I don't know, maybe you don't know, a scribe will call you. I know, a scribe will call, they'll write, they'll say, knock, knock, any work over here. And I said, well, we have 1,500. That scribe stayed 30 years. He worked on these Torahs for 30 years. A trust was created, the Memorial Scrolls Trust, so that there would be some ownership of these scrolls. And they were placed in synagogues and institutions around the world. Some of them are kosher scrolls, have been brought back, have been repaired to the point that they're kosher scrolls and they can be used ritually. Others are in poor condition, but can still be used for hakafot or for education. And all are witnesses to the communities they come from, which is important because we're reaching a point in time when we have fewer and fewer human witnesses, people who can actually tell us they were there and what they saw. But these Torah scrolls still can be witnesses. This past Thursday night was the gathering. I learned that there were about 1,000 of these in North America. So, and I believe about 100 perhaps still in London at the offices or in a museum that the trust has. So the rest scattered around the world, from Alaska to Buenos Aires to some equivalent east and west also, around the world. But Thursday night, yesterday, was November 9th. November 9th is the anniversary of Kristallnacht. November 9th, 1938, was a large anti-Jewish riot, a large pogrom in Nazi Germany, which perhaps more than anything put the world on notice what Nazi Germany was doing with Jews. It's the first time in history that radio was used to whip up a frenzy. So I understand perhaps for 3 days beforehand, the radio was exciting the population to riot against the Jews. Synagogues were destroyed, storefronts were destroyed, people were murdered. For the longest time, the full extent of what happened wasn't known because historians were using Nazi statistics. But it was much more than for most of the time since then, the story has been told. It was much bigger than what has generally been told. And all throughout Germany are the sites of synagogues that were destroyed that night. My grandmother, as a side note, who was still there, my grandmother was in Vienna. At that point, it was Vienna, Germany, 1938. My grandfather had already gone to Turkey to secure a job so that they could get visas, but my grandmother was still there with my mother. And my grandmother told me that on the morning of November 9th, the maid came. It was not unusual for for households to hire a teenage girl to be a maid. At least that's how I understand it. But the maid came that morning, and she had 3 eggs, which my grandmother said was, without refrigeration, was something you usually got for immediate use. And she brought this food and said, "I wouldn't take the little one out tonight if I were you." Those small gestures, because what else could she do, really? She could hear something was going to happen, but those small gestures that my grandmother told me about have always served to remind me how not everybody in Germany was trying to collaborate or was supportive of the violence the Nazis were doing. Although that also frightens me at times, because I know that not everybody here wants to do those things either. I know that lots of people didn't know lots of other people who were willing to do what happened. The society was very divided, and social lines didn't cross over that divide at times. Be that as it may. This past Thursday was the anniversary of Kristallnacht. So that was the setting for this gathering at Road of Shalom. And the ceremony began with a procession of all the Torahs from the back of the sanctuary up to the bima. And the Torah scrolls were placed on tables and on chairs in front of the gathering of 350 people. And there was music, and there was the telling of the story of the Torahs, and there was the telling of the story of the Jewish community of Bohemia and Moravia, and there was a shofar blowing, and the Torahs were taken on a hakafa around the sanctuary, and there was the saying of Kaddish. And after the ceremony, the Torah scrolls remained on the bima so people could come up and see them more closely, visit with them. And many were labeled as to where they were from and where they now resided. And I found myself face to face with a Torah scroll from a little town in eastern Bohemia where my great-grandfather was born, and where I understand my own family lived for a couple centuries, the town of Hermanów Miasteczk in Bohemia. So holding the Etzei Chaim, the handles of the Torah scroll that was in the synagogue, the one synagogue that was in the town where my family came from, was startling. I don't know quite what word to use, but the I have a picture from a book I got there of what the synagogue in that town looks like now that it has been restored. It's actually pretty stunning. I'll let you see. Yeah. Yeah. So, memory and legacy. Moving on. The thing about the number 1564, though, it's close to the number that we've been talking about in southern Israel. Those who were murdered combined with those who were kidnapped. I think it's ascribed to Mark Twain, the comment that history may not repeat itself, but it rhymes. But while holding on to the memory, the legacy we make of it has to be one of life and resilience and continuing to tell the story. Life, resilience, and continuing to tell the story of the Jewish people and its teachings in all its diversity and splendor. So I actually want to conclude by going to a different part of Jewish experience and mentioning that this Sunday night, Monday, is Sigid. Sigid. S-I-G-D. It's probably the oldest, newest Jewish holiday you've never heard of. Sigid is an Ethiopian Jewish holiday. It is based on something in the book of Nehemiah, and it is observed. It is something like a combination of Shavuot, which features the giving of the Torah, and Yom Kippur, which is atonement and forgiveness. Shavuot, the establishment of covenant, and Yom Kippur, the repair of covenant. In Ethiopia, it was observed with fasting and then celebration. They would climb a particular mountain and reaffirm Torah. And most Ethiopian Jews now are living in Israel. So the practice has become for them to gather, to fast and gather at the Kotel, gather at the Western Wall, and then to walk out of the city up one of the hills off to the side up to an overlook point and look down on the city of Jerusalem. And in 2017 or 2018, it became another official holiday of the State of Israel. So Sigid is now a national holiday in Israel, which to my way of thinking, to my mind, makes it likely that at some point we will be hearing more about Sigid. Sigid will start spreading into the diaspora, and it will be a new cause for us to celebrate. So last time I was in Israel in 2018, I was there on Sigid, and it was the first year that it was an official holiday. It had definitely was making an impression there. Let us turn to page 425, and if you could you have that in there because it is the blessing for a new month coming. $425. And I thought I had the calendar up here. So if Sigurd is Sunday, Monday, Rosh Chodesh is okay. So let us rise for this. Yehi Ratzon milefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu v'Imateinu shetikadesh aleinu et hachodesh hazeh letova levracha v'titen lanu chaim arochim chaim shel shalom chaim shel tova. May it be your will, eternal one, our God, the God of our ancestors, that you renew for us this month for goodness and for blessing. May you give to us long life, a life of peace, a life of goodness, a life of blessing, a life of nourishment and sustenance. May it be a life of bodily health, a life in which is found awe for the divine, a life in which we have a love of Torah and a fear of heaven, a life free of disgrace and shame, a life of happiness and honor, a life of integrity and discernment, intelligence and knowledge, a life in which our heart's petitions are fulfilled for goodness. Amen. Misha asa nisim lavotenu limotenu v'ga'al otam avdut lecherut hu yiga'al otanu bekarov. May the one who wrought miracles for our ancestors and redeemed them from servitude to freedom continue to redeem us and speedily unite our dispersed kin from the four corners of the earth. Let all Israel be committed to one another, and we say, Amen. Rosh Chodesh Kislev yeh beyom shlishi haba aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael letova. The beginning of the month of Kislev will fall upon Tuesday. May it come to us and to all Israel for goodness. Yechadshenu HaKadosh Baruch Hu aleinu v'al kol yoshvei tevel l'chaim u'shalom. Amen. May the Blessed Holy One renew this month for us and for all who dwell on earth, for life and for peace, for joy and for happiness, for salvation and for rest. And let us say, Amen. We're going to say Kiddush on page 118. 118? 119. You're going to say Kiddush? Or I'll say Kiddush. You say Kiddush. You say Kiddush and then open the ark. Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho b'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu, zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki aleinu karata, v'otanu kidashta lavodatecha, v'shabbat kadshecha, v'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashavat. Amen. Page 121. Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. And so we put our hope in you, the eminence, our God, that soon we may behold the full splendor of your might, and see idolatry vanish from the earth, and all material gods be swept away, and the power of your rule repair the world. When senseless hatred reigns on earth and people hide their faces from one another, then heaven is forced to hide its face. But when love comes to rule the earth and people reveal their faces to one another, then the splendor of God will be revealed. Hakatuv b'tortecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. In reciting the Kaddish, we affirm our awareness of holiness in our world. Much of our experience of divine goodness, grace, and love has come to us through those whose lives have touched our own. We invoke the transcendent power of love and caring as we sanctify God's name. Today, in particular, we're remembering the Yortzites of Max Leopold, the father of Marshall Leopold, Raymond Baumgardner, the father of Ed Baumgardner, Rose Levitt Gladstone, the mother of Bill Gladstone, Irving Sunshine, the father of Sonny Bowers, Yetta Lipschutz, the mother of Irene Snare, Joseph Fleischer, the uncle of Arnold Hillman, Brian Shepard, the cousin of Jenny Kornfeld, Mary Levine, the mother of Mark Levine, Greta Lynch, the aunt of Mark Kornfeld, Sam Gladstone, the father of Bill Gladstone, and Rena Lipman, the mother of Myrna Rubenstein. We continue to remember Ted Brandow, Theodore Brandow, a former member of Temple Beth Shalom and designer of the interior of the sanctuary. Philip Dobb, the father of Tracy and father-in-law of Paul Kornfeld. Sima Brandow, the wife of Ted Brandow and a longtime Temple Beth Shalom member. Stuart Herbert Kranzel, founding member and pillar of Temple Beth Shalom. Honey Avis, a longtime Temple Beth Shalom member. Sheila McMullen, a cousin of Jenny Kornfeld. Richard Avis, a Temple Beth Shalom member and husband of Honey Avis. Albie Levine, a cousin of Mark Kornfeld. And Alvin Ben, the brother of Eileen Kranzel. And are there others? Page 131. In remembrance of these and others who've come before us, we rise, as is your tradition. Page 131. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba v'yalma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'me'almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tosh b'chata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. So, wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom, and we conclude on page 133 with Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem kol Yetzir Nivra, Nasa bechepsa kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei tiklot hakol levado imloch nohora vehu haya vehu hove vehu yiyeh betifara vehu echad v'ein sheni Leham shilo lehachvira beli reshit beli tachlit velo haos v'hamizrah vehu eli v'chayego ali v'tzur chavli b'eit sahara vehu nisi umanos li menat kosi Beyom ekra beyado afkidruchi Viet dishan via ihira vimruchi geviati Adonai li velo